I'm Anthony, and I used to work at GameStop. I actually worked at 2 different stores. And if you're expecting this to be a telltale secret of game, it's not. This is just what a typical day of GameStop was for me. And not every day was everything I'm probably going to say here. There were some things where maybe it didn't happen very often. But I do remember quite a bit from my time with GameStop. I actually loved the job. I hated standing all day. But I was working in an era where it was pretty busy. And everybody was happy when they came into the store. But typically, if I was opening, I would go to the front door, unlock it, move the gate out of the way, tap in a code. And I only ever got to do this once, for a whole nother reason, which I'm not going to discuss, because I'm not here to badmouth the company. So, I go into the computer and clock in and log on, and if I need to vacuum, it's fairly slow in the morning, so you vacuum, unless you're doing some type of morning release, which typically happened for like Nintendo games, because for whatever reason there wasn't enough sales to do a midnight or I don't think we were doing 9 p.m. releases at the time I was working there. But people would just come and flood, and then once they're left, you could vacuum, whatever, because you can't run the vacuum when people are there. You need people to hear over them. So after the vacuuming's done, there would probably be some tasks. There's usually a list. Either the store leader or the assistant store leader would leave a list going, okay, here is what you need to do. So that list typically would be like, okay, so check all these games out, or check these systems out, test the systems, make sure they're all good. Then we depending on if they were going into the store or going into a box to go to the reclamation center that GameStop has, just really depended on which way they were going. But then, of course, anything going out, print up a label, throw it on the box, and then put it out on the little shelving units they have around the store. So typically every day you have to do this. It gets tedious, but sometimes you're just so bored it's okay to do. On the wall, the games are divided by section, and then you have to separate them by new and pre-owned, and then you have to sort them alphabetically. Now, some stores just do the ABC, like, okay, so we have a big old stack of games. We can fit this many facing outwards, and then the rest are put on the bottom shelf, binding sticking out. Which, when I first started working there, that was the way it was being done. And the one thing I hated was having to bend over to find a game, like way at the bottom shelf. You gotta stoop down there, you gotta put your face against the floor to figure it out. I hated that, but near the end of my time with GameStop, they actually had moved everything up to the 3rd or 4th shelf at eye level. For me, it's still low, but at least I just could, okay, yeah, I didn't have to go to the floor. But essentially, during the course of the day, you would move things along to fill in gaps, take a couple of the games you had the bindings on, fill in gaps with those. Fairly typical. You would just have to do it every time for every game. It's busy work. So then, of course, the customer comes in. If nothing else is going on, you meet them kind of at the door, see if they need any help. They had some predetermined questions like, hey, what brings you in today? Or what are you looking for? And most people will tell you exactly what they need. And you will go, oh, it's over here. Now, GameStop wants you to sell pre-owned. That's where their money is made. Occasionally you don't have it because the game is maybe brand new, and then you show them through the new copy, and then you always put the game case in their hands. Research has shown that this increases the chances of sales. So you put the game case in their hands, and you say, do you need help with anything else? Now, they might tell you no, they might say yes, and you follow the same process over again, putting the item in their hand. And then, if you can leave them, you can go find something else to do, or maybe there's another customer that needs your help. So you go help them. So then you get back to your register, let's say customer's ready to go. And the system, because they hadn't switched to Workday yet, the system they were using was kind of rough, but you would essentially scan everything in, make sure you put their information in, pull up their account. It was, I don't know, it's if you ever imagine going to like a McDonald's or Taco Bell, it's all pictures. You can more or less just tap your way through without really any thoughts in your head. And you ring them out and give them any change and a receipt, and they be on their way. Don't forget to mention that if they fill out their survey, they may win a $100 gift card or whatever. So that is the general handling of a customer. But then what if, say, a customer comes in with a pre-owned game or a console? The games, you got to look at the bottom. First off, you want to see if all the content was there. At the time I was there, they had just started scrapping the booklets or any instruction manuals. They just tossed them in the garbage. I was like, that is weird. I don't like the value of a game increases when most of its content or all of its content is intact. So you ever heard of complete in box? It means everything in the box is in the box. But GameStop treats everything kind of like it's just the game. So they don't guarantee any of the extra stuff. They don't even guarantee the original artwork. So we would check the disc or maybe check the contents in the cartridge, and we really didn't have time to go out and test every single thing that came in. Because sometimes people would bring in their entire libraries. I once got somebody who turned in their entire Wii or Wii U library and their system because they wanted to get a PlayStation 4. So you go through, check them all up, and then the system will tell you as you go through which ones are taking and for how much. And then, of course, pro membership, you get a bump, or you used to. At the time of me doing this, they had just gotten rid of that trade-in bonus. But anyway, then you let them know, and then decide what they're going to take home and what you're going to keep. A lot of the times people are like, you know what, I don't care if it's worth nothing, you just go ahead and have it. You just told GameStop, yes, you can have free money, which is fine. Free money is good. This business stays profitable. It keeps in business, and you still have a job. So then when you get to the systems, you go, okay, well, now I have to test this thing. That you actually test the system. First off, you need all the wires. You need any controllers that came with it. And you need to make sure it starts. If it starts, they tell us to remove their profile. So I have to make sure it's okay with them. Hey, can I delete your profile? I want to totally format the system. If it boots back up after format, then we know there's nothing wrong with it. They usually say, oh, yeah, I forgot that was on there. You delete it, you format it, it boots back up, throw a game in, make sure it reads the disk, and you're good. The stuff can be dirty as sin. I have actually had systems brought in that were just smoke damaged. They basically were white at one point, and now they're yellow. It's just, it happens, people smoke. So once that's all good, you hand them their cash, or maybe they're buying some other things instead. In this case, it was a PlayStation 4, so they ended up paying the difference in price. Simple. So other cases, you occasionally will have, I don't know if GameStop still does this, because they really should. It's actually, I mean they should. It's kind of against the law to sell kid stuff that is considered adult. But we'll get a kid who comes in and says, hey, here's $65, I want Grand Theft Auto. Or I want Saints Row, or I want something with blood and massacres and murders and deaths and swear words and nudity. And then you actually have to tell a kid, hey, I'm sorry, kid, I can't sell that to you. Because they're supposed to say, if you're a kid, they can't sell you a game. Or they have to check your ID if you're kind of questionable on the age. So sometimes the kid will come back with a parent. And the kid's going to be angry, yeah, it's true, but you can't ethically sell that type of content to a child. When I was working for another game company, I actually lost a sale because I would not sell to the kid this one. What was the game? I can't remember what the game was. It was Saints Row. It was actually the re-release Saints Row on the Switch. And I lost the entire sale because they said, oh, we're going to go find another store to sell this game to it. I'm like, but you're like 12. You're not even get to the cash register. They're going to look at you and go, no. So maybe they got the game somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, so then you deal with that on occasion. Another one is somebody comes in and they don't look like they're buying anything. And I've gone to GameStop with no intention of buying anything. And then we have the problem where the shoplifting is, at least in the older arrangement the store used to have, the shoplifting wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the greatest either. We were something like, our shrinkage was somewhere like 0.25% or something at some point, which is apparently very high. So, I mean, out of 100%, 0.25% is 1/4%. But it was mostly people putting small collectibles into their pockets. Or when originally when they started doing card gaming stuff, it was kind of away from the register, so you really couldn't see it happening. And I really encourage stores, if you're going to do items that are pocketable, have a camera on it. But yeah, that was typically where the shrinkage was, because obviously there's no games in the cases, and anything of value that's on the floor is typically locked up. Which, if you've been to Walmart, Target, or Best Buy recently, well, actually, kind of not Best Buy. It depends on the case. Well, Walmart and Target for sure will usually have their expensive stuff locked up. GameStop doesn't do that very well. I actually, as I'm thinking about it, other than certain collectibles and cell phones, if some stores still do that, or tablets or whatever, those are locked up. Everything else isn't. But in the cases where you were selling those, you of course get in the case, grab the item, do your business. So that is more or less the typical day at GameStop. It's not complicated. It's not hard work. Sometimes it's long and it's tedious and maybe a little boring. But it was actually a rather enjoyable experience, because what you get to do a lot of the time is talk video games. And if you really love video games, it is a great job to have. I mean, yeah, first off, pay isn't the best. But I mean, you're basically talking, you're getting paid for your hobby is what it is. Back in the old days, they used to do game demos, and I mean, I don't mean those Nintendo and PlayStation and sometimes Microsoft setups in the store you can play demo games, but they would have little events. I remember, like, I was there, they did Madden. They did a Madden tournament, and people could play the new Madden game before the tournament and then after the tournament. And the winner would get a copy of Madden. Those are some great things that happened at the store I worked at. Things they don't do anymore. But, so now I should lead into, I was being trained to be an SGA, so I learned a couple of those things. And in that particular last week there, in that work day, I was making cold calls. And I don't know if they still do that. I actually have not been called in years from a GameStop. But we used to say things like, hey, you have $5 on a reservation for God of War. If you come in now, you can either pay off the remainder to pick up your copy of the game, or you can take it and put it towards another pre-order. You do that. Or, let's see, what's the other one? Package stuff for shipping for when the truck comes in. Or, once a week, if you were there, you would unload the truck, and then you would put everything out. So that's a whole different thing. And then once a month, you would do the inventorying of the entire store. And that's basically taking a scanner and going click, 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 all the way across the entire aisles, marking all the game cases and all the collectibles, basically to know what exactly is still in the store and what is missing. This is how they calculate shrinkage, by the way. Sometimes it's not as easy as catching somebody on camera. And I've only ever once had the privilege... Well, actually, that's not true. I worked both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One releases, and those things are crazy. And the joke was for those, hey, because if you may remember, around the time those things were getting released, people were getting mugged for them. So the joke was, well, why don't you take a Nintendo bag and put it around your system? I'm sure nobody will touch you then. Because the Wii U was such a astounding flop as far as... I enjoy my Wii U, by the way. But as far as everybody else is concerned, flop. And probably Nintendo concerned, it's a flop. But there's just so much fun. And then then we talk about the holidays, and you're doing Black Friday, and you have a line of people out the door. And my district manager at the time, she was such a sweet lady. I wish she was still in charge, because she allowed a lot more fun. It felt more like a family when you were there with those people. During Black Friday, I got a megaphone, and I got to go out in the crowd and like talk to people, and we would do little contests or trivias or quizzes. The gimmick was, if you did something right, it's like they gave the right answer, you get to move up one place in line. But only people who were willing to participate. So essentially, if the fifth guy in line participated and the ninth guy in line participated, you're basically betting your space in line is what it boils down to. It was great fun. And then of course they finally get allowed. It's midnight, or I think actually for the Black Friday it was, I think we opened at 7 p.m. Essentially, we do a certain number of people at a time to come into the store. Because there's capacity at the store, you really can't just fill it up with bodies. You run them through the gauntlet, and then as one person leaves, another person can come in. And it's so much fun because everybody's chipper. It's holiday time or it's new console time, and it's fantastic. The other thing, and kind of related to this, is the video game releases. Not as big as console releases, but the video game releases typically have 20, 25. Your store may vary. You may have had 50 or something, or 100, 200 people. I remember like one of the Madden games, the line wrapped around the building, but essentially you would fill in all their orders before time, because you want to make sure everybody gets their receipts so they can just come and pick up their game and walk by. And you would talk about the game, and see what they're excited about. Again, there's another situation where everybody's just super happy about what's going on and what they're about to play when they get home. But those are some great memories, and I had so much fun. But that was a typical day at work at GameStop for me. So, thanks for watching. Remember, like and subscribe. Thank you for checking out our content. Before you leave, please remember to click like and then subscribe. If you want to receive notifications, do not forget to enable them by clicking on the bell. Then afterwards, check out our social media at HaslageNet and our website at haslage.net.